everybody. Welcome to Amazing You podcasts and YouTube channels, the channels where stories of resilience, triumph, and unwavering hope come to life. And in each episode, we dive into the inspiring journey of incredible individuals who have faced the toughest challenges heads on and emerged victorious. Our aim is to be a beacon of inspiration, offering a guiding light to those navigating through difficult times. And whether you are dealing with health challenges, professional setbacks, or personal struggles, this channel is dedicated to uplifting your spirit and showing you that even in the darkest moments, there's a path to hope and triumph. Join us as we share powerful stories that transcend adversity, reminding you that resilience is a force within us all. So be prepared, everybody, to be inspired and find the strength to navigate life challenges. So this is Amazing You channel where hope takes center stage. I am your host. My name is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, Mars Venus life and relationship coach, breathwork coach, astrologer, tarot reader, past life regression practitioner, chakra practitioner, and life force compassion practitioner. And today, I have the immense pleasure to introduce you to a very special guest. Her name is Shannan Mondor. Shannan is a transformational mentor, best-selling author, public speaker, and podcast host who is passionate about guiding her clients and audiences into discovering their greatness within. So welcome, Shannan, to Amazing You.
Thank you for having me. This is an absolute pleasure and an honor. So thank you.
Thank you to you, Shannan, for taking your time today. I'm very, very grateful for our connection and for you spending your time. I know our time is precious, that you have spared some moments to speak to my audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I have read your bio, Shannan, and I was very, very impressed. And by the talk we had a bit earlier this month about all what you've overcome. Mm-hmm. So can you, Shannan, today tell the audience about your journey of overcoming abuse, past abuse, addiction, and mental illness, and becoming a transformational mentor and best-selling author today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to believe where I am now to where I was before, because my life has totally transformed. Like sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I can't even believe it.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is like, I did it. I did it. I did it. I went out and I searched for the tools and I was determined that I was going to change my life around, and I did it. I'm succeeding, and I'm exceeding in areas of my life that I would have never, ever, ever imagined, like even up to 5 years ago. And just, it's, oh my gosh, it's just so incredible. It's beyond incredible. So with my journey actually even started before even I was born. And a lot of people don't realize when they go on a journey like I have, where you grow up in a family of addiction, mental illness, and abuse, that the journey doesn't actually start with you. 9 times out of the 10, the journey has already happened, and it is in progress even before you come onto this earth.
That's good.
So that's what I want people to really, really look at their lives, if they're going through what I'm going through, and when they listen to my story, if they resonate to it. Because we, a lot of times, will end up taking on the identity of family members, which is generational.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what had happened to me. And I'll go through the process, and I'll let people understand what I'm talking about, because I betcha, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, That's exactly what's happening to me, which will also bring you into your self-awareness, which will also bring you so you can understand that shame, that fear, that anxiety, that depression, that addiction, whatever you hold within you. And you'll be able to comprehend that and understand that a little bit more, which is also a little bit of the fragment, which will get you started on the journey that you want to become and find the greatest version of yourself within. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like I said, what was happening to me even started even before I was born, because I did come from a family of addiction, mental illness, and abuse. And that all started with my father.
Right.
And then what had taken place was I'm the youngest of 8 children, and I have a half brother. So there's 9 of us siblings. So as the years went by with my father, and just, his life was chaos and just everything. I don't really want to get into all of that, but anyways, he did end up becoming an alcoholic. And of course, hand in hand with alcoholism, there's mental abuse as well. Like, how can there not? And his outlet was not only drinking, but it was also abusing everybody around him. So he abused my whole entire family. But the ones that took the brunt of the abuse within my family was my oldest brother and my mother. So my father ended up committing suicide when I was about 2.5. So I don't remember my father at all. So you need to understand that what was normal to me and my brothers and sisters was an environment of addiction, abuse, mental illness. We all suffered high anxiety. That was normal. Depression, normal. Fear, normal. And because of how we were brought up, and it was basically beaten into all of us, you're dumb, you're stupid. So we had shame, we had lack of self-worth.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't like ourselves. So imagine an environment that you're brought up like that. Now, I didn't encounter the abuse from my father. All my brothers and sisters did, and my mother. So when my father died, my oldest brother actually took over the role of my father. So that's where the abuse and all of that came in towards me. So like I said, I was growing up, my childhood, that's all I remember. I remember being so scared of my brother coming around because I knew something was always going to happen. I always knew that he was going to make me feel horrible about myself. I always knew that he was going to say things to me that I didn't want to hear. But as time went by, I started to believe all those ugly things that he was saying. I believed, like, I had no self-worth.
Yeah.
I felt ugly. I was depressed, and I was depressed looking back now. I was depressed at such a very, very, very young age.
Yeah.
So what I did is I conformed my personality about all of these feelings that I had within inside me. So in my teenage years and as I got older, I became a people pleaser. I became a chameleon.
Yeah.
And because I wanted people to like me so much, I never spoke up for myself. I never stuck up for myself at all. I never vouched an opinion. I started living a complete lie.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening is I ended up letting others basically control my life. And that happens to so many of us out there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So many of us are people pleasers.
Yeah.
And then as time went by, I literally lost who I was. I had no idea who I was anymore. And really, in essence, did I ever know who I was? I really don't believe that I did know who I was, because I grew up in a low vibration household. I never had a chance to express myself. I didn't like my last name because of the reputation that my father, before he passed on, everybody knew who my father was. Okay. And then, of course, my brothers, I didn't realize either, until later on in life, that my brothers had all my family members had the exact same feelings that I had within me, but I didn't see that till later. So how they proved themselves to everybody around them were they were tough, right? So they were fighters. So our name had a really bad reputation attached to it. And me, I was just little. People looked at me and they judged me because of all the other family members. Yeah. So what ended up happening is I started to dislike all my family members as well. Right. People would say to me, "Oh, are you such and such's daughter? Or are you such and such's sister?" And I would be embarrassed. I didn't like it. So I suppressed my feelings, suppressed. And then as I got into my 20s and I got into my 30s, and then when I got into my 40s, that was when I started to become a full-fledged individual that drank.
Okay.
Because I couldn't cope with myself anymore. I couldn't cope with my feelings, my emotions. I didn't really know what was going on around me.
Yeah.
But all I knew was I was at the most unhealthiest and unhappiest state of my entire life. And then what started happening, because when you suppress for years and years and years, it's going to come out one way or another.
Oh,
Whether
yes.
drugs or alcohol, your weight, whatever, it's your soul can't take it anymore. Your body cannot take it. So I ended up having flashbacks. And I didn't know at that time that that was nearing the end of my life, because those flashbacks were bringing me back to my childhood. And my flashbacks were telling me, you need to deal with this stuff in your life. But of course, I was in denial. I was so full of anger and resentment for my brother for all the things that he did. And I was angry at my mother because she never stuck up for me, ever, or my siblings. That was her normal, to see my brother abuse us because she had been abused by my father for so long.
Yeah.
That was her normal.
Yeah. Yeah. She was familiar to that kind of situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can see throughout the years as well, too, anything that really came good into her life, she would always sabotage it because she never felt worthy to have it within her life. And I'm talking marriages, right? She had met, really great man, and she sabotaged it because she didn't think that she was worthy enough to have it. So where her essence of protection was also in that feeling, that state. When you're being abused in that, like how we were, you always seem to be stuck in that state of blame, denial. You're imprisoned.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel that you're worthy to have anything better.
That's good.
And you always think there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. Why don't people like me? That's always there. It's incredible. And I just look back now and I'm like, wow, my way of thinking then to where it is now. Oh gosh, no wonder I was to the point where I was ready to commit suicide. And it was with those flashbacks, which was a real wake up. I didn't realize it at that time that was a wake up call for me.
Right.
But when it happened with these flashbacks going back to my childhood, it was I wanted to cry for help, but I didn't know how, because I didn't know whether or not these flashbacks were real.
Okay.
And then, so that's all I would think about all day long. Okay. Are they real or are they not real? Are they real or are they not real? Well, if they're real, oh my gosh, I should be telling somebody. But then there was that doubt. Will anybody believe me? So this played in my mind day in, day out for weeks at a time, until finally I pretty much was going insane. And I was also drinking myself to death. I'm 120 pounds and I was drinking 6 bottles of wine a day, if you can imagine.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Because all I could think about was those flashbacks, and I didn't want to hear them. I didn't want to see them. I did like nothing.
And for how long were you drinking like that? How many years that happened?
Like really bad to that point? Oh gosh, I'm saying at least about 6 to 8 months. Okay. There was a progression, but when I got to those flashbacks, that's when I really, really started to drink. Like
even more.
Illness, everything was really kicking. Right. Yeah. That's when I was drinking morning to night. And then I did end up going to treatment, thankfully. But at that time when I went to treatment, I went to one of the top treatment centers in Canada. And I was there for 8 weeks, and it was the first step in my journey. But what a lot of people don't understand too, and they have that misconception that once you go to treatment, you're going to get healed. They're there, they heal you. Totally opposite. This was just the beginning of my journey. I just went there so I could learn tools. Okay. You go to treatment to learn tools. Nothing's going to cure you. Nothing's going to save you unless you do it yourself. If you do the work. And it's not something that takes 8 weeks. Now, this is a total lifetime journey. because there's always something that's going to come up, and it's really on how you deal with it or not. And I can honestly say 150% that my journey of my addiction, that's gone. That's in my past. I've healed from my past. I have forgiven all those that were involved with my upbringing. I have forgiven them, and I have moved on. They are not in my life anymore. And the reason they're not in my life is because they're still living that life, and I can't be a part of it anymore. But I can praise and release them, and I can also love them from a distance. Yeah. Because we're all on our own journey. You know that. We're all on our own journey.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And I'm on my journey. I'm on my journey to be the best version I can of myself. And where I really started to discover that was on August 17th of 2019, was when I actually woke up and I had the awakening to awareness. It was like, wow. I have lived my whole entire life, which was 50 years at that time, 50 years of living a life of what I did not want. I knew exactly what I didn't want. So now it was time for me to shift on what I do want. And that was when I started to make a list. What is it that I want? I want to be alcohol free. I want to live a life of sobriety. I want to be a mother. I want to be a mentor. I want to be someone that's positive. I want to set goals for myself. I didn't know what my goals were going to be at that point in time. I had no idea. But all I could vision was myself being sober. And that was the first step that I needed to do. And I knew what I wanted. I didn't have my whole life planned out, but I knew that I wanted to get sober. And when I went to treatment prior to that, which was about a year and a half prior to that, I did go to treatment. I was there for 8 weeks, like I said, and I quit drinking for about a year.
Okay.
But then I started up again. There was triggers and things that started happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what triggers were because they didn't teach me that in treatment. But I learned after that triggers are things that are still happening in your life that still need to be healed. Yes. And there was a lot of things that weren't even touched upon, right? And the biggest thing was my identity. I carried that identity, which was a huge awakening for me. I had carried the identity of my abuser, which was my brother. The things that he was saying to me, that I was dumb, I was stupid, I was ugly. And as I got older, it got worse. The names that he started calling me, all of my sisters and I. But those words that were coming out of his mouth were everything that he believed about himself.
Yes.
So I carried his identity. And there's so many people out there that know exactly what I'm talking about. And these words right now are just ringing in your ears, and you're like, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what's happening in my life. Look at your abuser. Have you become your abuser? Because I literally became my abuser. I became someone that was addicted to alcohol exactly like him. Yeah. I became someone that was extremely abusive exactly like him. I became someone that had mental illness exactly like him. I started to hurt all the people that I loved around me exactly like him. But let's go a little bit even further than that. He carried the identity of my father.
Yes.
So it's all generational.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And what I figured out at that point in time, too, when I had my awakening to awareness, was also what I thought about the most, you do become. It does become a reality.
Yes.
Whether it's good or bad.
Oh, yeah.
And what I thought about on a daily basis, and I'm not kidding you when I say a daily basis, how much I disliked this man and how much I disliked my mother for not protecting me and stopping him, I became them. That became my reality. Yeah. And then as I start to become all of these coming forward into my consciousness and me having these big light bulb moments on a daily basis, I started to come forward. I started to speak my truth. And that was when COVID started to happen. And I could see people on social media, which were posting videos, mothers that are homeschooling their children, and they're starting to drink early. And they're having their kids pour their wine, and they're making it funny and laughing. And is it too early to be drinking wine? And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you have no idea what you're doing. You're creating drinking on a daily basis in this environment, something that's normal. And this is not normal, people.
Yeah.
This is not normal. So you're creating a generation of children that are thinking that drinking every day is normal and that it's fun. In order to have fun, you need to have alcohol present, which was very much a part of my life. I couldn't, and a lot of people that I hung out with at the time too. Anybody who I was associated with, everybody drank because that was their form of having fun.
Yes.
Whether it was birthdays, any occasion, like there was always alcohol present. First thing, hi, how are you? Wonderful. Do you want a drink?
Okay.
All within the first 5 minutes. Now I completely stay away from that altogether because I know who I am inside and out, and I live a very, very authentic life. What you see is what you get. I know, and I'm raising my children as well too. You don't need alcohol to have fun.
Absolutely.
But I'm not against people drinking alcohol either.
Yeah.
I just see what it does to people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a part of that. I don't need to be a part of that.
You've been there, you know?
I've been there.
It is like.
And so many people are there where I've been and they just don't see it because their whole environments are normalized by that.
Yes.
And they will never, ever see it until they step out of that environment that they're in.
Absolutely. And you know, there is a beautiful saying, I'm sure you've heard of Jim Rohn. He said, you become the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And this was what was your surrounding like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I married into a family like that. You know, like my whole existence was all about that. So when I had my awakening to awareness, I really had to sit with myself.
Okay.
And that was quite the journey. And like, I'm so thankful. Oh, you know, to have the awareness to actually sit with myself. And I can remember like there was hours upon hours upon hours. And I would be even just be in an environment and I would actually just kind of sit back for the first time and really not say anything. And just looking and listening to what people are saying.
Right.
How are they treating me? How are they treating others? Are these individuals here for my higher good or are they holding me back? Do these individuals have the same beliefs that I do? Because I now realize that the beliefs that have been in me this whole entire time of 50 years, they weren't my beliefs. And I know that I can change these beliefs. And that's exactly what I did. And I went on this big journey. And then I started opening up, started getting more on social media, speaking my truth. Next thing I did was I ended up writing a book, which is called How in the Hell Do I Get Here? Forever Changing the Genetic Blueprint. And that's my whole entire life. Okay. About my addiction, my upbringing, everything. And then I wanted to promote my book even more. So that's where I decided I was going to create my podcast, Fulfillment in Faith.
Right.
And then I started talking about my book a lot on that with the first 14 episodes. And then as my story started to get out more and more and more, I just had this, I was being called even more. There's something bigger here for you, Shannan. Because I had those moments of stillness and I knew I wasn't alone because the more I shared my story, the more people were coming forward to me. Yeah. And that was when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not alone on this journey. I have found my life purpose in my trauma. Yes. And from my experiences and from everything that I've learned from that, I need to share that and I need to put that out in the world. So I started inviting guests literally from all over the world. And they come on my podcast and they share their stories of their moments of stillness. And their journeys are beyond amazing. Anything from childhood abuse, suicide, sex trafficking, like whatever it is. Yeah. And they talk about their stories and their journey and where they are now and how they're helping so many people because we are not the only one. No, we are not. And when we're in that state of where we don't know what to do or where to go, that's what we think we are the only one. Then you're not. You just have to ask the universe to help you, and the universe will guide you. And I know that from experience over and over and over again. And then from there, I decided I wanted to be a public speaker. So then I went and I did my TED Talk. So I'm a TED Talk speaker now as well.
That's
And
great.
my public speaking is starting to pick up. I've got events coming up, and I created my programs, which helps people to transform and to find their greatest selves within, because it's all within. And I teach everybody step by step by step by step. And there's 4 programs that I've got available as well too. So, and that's my journey, because I've lived it. And
Yes.
everything that I teach, I live. And I walk that path every single day. I practice what I preach. And what you see or what you hear, this is exactly what you get from me.
Mm.
I am at my most true, authentic self that I've ever been, ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shannan, this is an incredible journey of overcoming all these traumas and seeing you in your authentic, in your most whole self, after overcoming all these challenges, all these traumas. And that's why Dr. Gabor Mate talk about the wisdom of trauma. There is wisdom in trauma. Even if we can't see it when we are, but when we heal from those traumas, we become a new person. We are not the person we were before. We are a newborn person with a new identity, with our with a new sense of belief in ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and we discovered so much of our talents that were lying inside of us that were dormant. Like all these talents that you've got, I am sure you had them that a long time, but when you peel off these layers of illusion, these layers of conditioning and intergenerational trauma, you emerge as your real self. Now you can shine your light. And that's what it is. I would like to tell the audience that healing from trauma, it makes you become alive. Look at Shannan, how alive she is, how excited she is about life and having her goals and having her programs. And you are completely a reborn person who is really living and not surviving, who is thriving, when we overcome trauma.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. When I first started going on my journey and I was really starting to open up, there were so many people that just couldn't understand it, because we're brought up in a society where, we're taught you don't talk.
Yes.
You don't tell people your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And heaven forbid you do not cry or whatever in public. Like that's a big no-no. Do not show your feelings.
Yeah.
And it is the exact opposite, because your power is within your vulnerability.
That's true. Yeah.
And it actually took me to get really mad at what was happening in my entire life. And it actually took me to get so angry with those people that hurt me for me to really step up to the plate and just be like, no, like, I'm not going to live this life anymore. I'm not going to have these people hurt me anymore. And I'm not allowing it.
Yeah.
Because they were hurting me because I was allowing it.
Absolutely.
And it was like, there's no more of that. If anybody's going to respect me, I sure as heck have to start respecting myself.
Oh, yeah.
And the healthy boundaries that I have to set. And it was from there that my life really started to change, because I started to wean all these people off of me. They're no longer in my life. And now to this day, there is not one person from my life that's in it. None of my family members on either side of the family, because they weren't there to support me. And that was probably the hardest thing that I could have ever done, but it was the most empowering thing I could have ever done. And we always hear, it's family, it's family. You know what? Family can sometimes be the worst individuals for you. And in my case, that's exactly what it was. Sadly, it was. But the people now that are in my life, I'm the one that brought them into my life because of my vibration that I put out. I love myself. So what have I done? I've created people that are in my life now that love me. They respect me. They're helping me to grow into the best version that I could possibly ever be.
Yeah.
And that is the most freeing thing. And then for my children to see the woman that I've grown into, look at the power that I'm giving them.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the biggest reason I did it. Yes, I did it for me, but I also did it for my children because I was not going to have what I grew up as normal, which I had created in my life at that point in time. And I was making that normalized for them. And it was like, no way, because they could easily become children of addiction as well.
Yeah.
So I had to do it to save them as well. And because we're in the fourth generation on my side of the family of addiction, started with my father. I don't know, about his parents, but my father, all my brothers and sisters and I, we've got some sort of addiction, mental illness of some sort. And it's all in my nephews, nieces and nephews. No, I'm not going to say all of them, but it's very prominent there. And now it's into my great nieces and nephews as well, too. And I can see it plain as day. And I'm like, no way. No. I will do anything to save my children and my grandchildren and the future generations that come. Yeah. And I know in the heavens, they're all thanking me.
Yes, and that's beautiful, Shannan, because that's the beauty of the journey of healing this oneself, You and I, we've been through that journey that we know when we heal ourselves, we are not only healing ourselves, we are healing the people around us, and the people around us, they are also going to help the people that they encounter. So we are healing the world when we heal ourselves.
We are, absolutely. Yeah. And the people that want to heal with you will heal with you.
Yes. Yeah.
And the people that don't, they'll leave your life.
Absolutely.
But people need to understand when they're listening to this that everybody is on their journey. And that's what life is about. We are here to be put on earth to have experiences. And from those experiences, whether they're good or they're bad, we're here to learn.
Yeah.
From those learning experiences, we are to teach others. And I am so thankful I have found my life purpose. Like I truly believe that I am one of the luckiest people on this earth, because there's so many individuals out there that walk this earth and they never, ever find their life purpose. They never, ever live the life that they want to because they are so worried about what other people think. They are imprisoned in their own body. And it's very sad to see.
I am really glad you said that, because that is so true. Because so many people are stuck in their life and they can't find their life purpose because they are not going deep within themselves, to look inside of them and to let go of the things, of the trauma, of the belief that they are still holding on and that are affecting their life, and the grudges that they are keeping, And that's why they can't see their life purpose, because they are still stuck in the past. If you are stuck in the past, how can you see the future and the now? You won't. You will still live on the other side. You will still be thinking over there. So it's only when you let go of this emotional baggage and that you focus on the now and on your future and on healing you, that's where you can see the end, the light at the end of the tunnel, That's where you can see the light shining in front of you again.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I look at my past and I embrace it.
Yes.
There was a lot of horrible things that happened and I had to forgive a lot of people and I had to move on. But I would never, ever, ever be where I am today if I didn't go through all of that. All of that journey made me the most happiest person I could ever be at this point in time in my life. Like, I know I've got so much more coming my way, and I'm going to be teaching so many more people, and I'm going to have all these amazing people come into my life. But at the same time, I know there's going to be lots of bumps in the road too. And those bumps in the road, I will gladly have them come, because those bumps is where I learn.
Yes.
And if I learn, I can teach more people.
That's so true.
It's just going to continue on and on and on. And fear is what stops people. And I can tell you right now, for the crap that I've been through, fear, that's when I know I need to push through it.
Yes.
I have to.
Yeah,
That's a calling card to me almost now. And people that get to the level that we are, they know that.
they know.
They know
They,
that your growth is always in the fear.
oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because fear is a very low vibration. And if you can overcome the fear, then you move to the energy of love. And when there is love, there is no fear. Then you are open to receiving, to giving, to abundance. When you are in fear, you are stuck, you are depressed, you are sad. It's like it's the lowest vibration, the lowest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that, like, when we talk about vibration and identity, and that's like, I teach all that within my programs as well. Oh my gosh. Once people understand vibration and your identity, you've got everything that you need. That those are the two biggest tools to get you whatever you want in this entire world.
Yes.
And once you've got those, oh my goodness, it is such life-changing. Because then you can see that whatever you bring into your life because of that vibration, you're the cause and effect of it all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You are the cause and effect of it all. Like I can see now when I was brought into this world, I was already brought into a low vibration, right? Fear, anxiety, like
Yeah.
we already talked, that's the lowest of the low.
And you already absorb that in the womb of your mother. At 6 weeks,
Absolutely.
you start to absorb all these emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. So you are who you attract, right? Well, of course, I didn't know any better.
You didn't
So
know.
I'm attracting all these things into my life, which are all low vibration. And I did that in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. So that's why all of these people came into my life that were manipulating me, that I was letting them hurt, all of it, right? But that was all me. That was me. I was bringing it all in. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to swallow or understand. They're like, what do you mean I brought all these people in? Vibrationally, you did. And once I figured that out and I understood vibration and energy and all of that, then I could take ownership for it. I'm like, you know what? I did.
Yeah.
I did do that. But now it is my responsibility to change my vibration because I'm the only one that can do it. And how am I going to do it? Number one, I'm going to know what I want because I sure as hell know what I don't want. So what I want, this is it. And then when you start working towards that, that's going to start raising your vibration, right? That's where you go into love and gratitude and enlightenment. And that's when you start to feel like, oh my God, I feel so amazing. Oh, I want everybody else to feel exactly like I do. Then it's like, I want to start helping people. And when you put that out in the world, the universe answers. Okay, here's all the people you can help. And I'm there, right? I'm there.
You are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shannan.
Thank you. Yeah.
My other question to you've shared a lot of golden nuggets, so much. I wish I have time to pick up, but as time flies, I've got two more questions to ask you to help the audience, on that great journey of self-discovery and of healing. Can you tell us one key strategy that the audience can use today at whatever stage of their life, whether they are facing a financial struggle, whether they are facing a depression, anxiety? What is one strategy that you can give them to help them today?
The biggest strategy that I live by is fulfillment and faith.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, and I was always against tattoos.
Okay.
Always. And I believed in it so much. I actually got a tattoo and I'm 55 years old now. And I just got the tattoo and it's on my forearm and it's called Fulfillment in Faith. And if you have got fulfillment, if you've got faith within yourself, you will have fulfillment in absolutely every area of your life, every area of your life. But the number one thing is you need to know what you want. Once you know what you want, you ask the universe to help provide it to you because we are entitled to everything on this earth, everything.
Yes.
Once you start asking, you will slowly, intuitively get hits towards it. And that's where you start to need to have that fulfillment in faith. And like, I have so much faith within myself. And there are days where I doubt, but it's like, no, I touch my heart and it's like, no, trust, trust, trust. Where you've been to where you are now, it was all because of faith within you.
Yeah. And what if somebody doesn't have faith in themselves? They are the lowest point of their life. They don't believe in anything anymore. What would you like to tell them today, Shannan?
What I would like to tell them, well, if they're the lowest of lowest, I know exactly what they're talking about because I have definitely been there. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're at that state where you are the lowest of lowest, but you do have a little bit of glimmer of hope there, that's where I think you really start to need to ask the universe to help guide you, or you can get a hold of someone like me that can get you on the path.
Yeah.
The awakening to awareness. And if you are listening to this podcast, I can tell you right now, it's not a coincidence. You are listening to this podcast for a particular reason. And I want you to go within and ask yourself, why am I listening to this podcast? Why is Shannan Mondor coming into my life right now? And the answer will come to you almost immediately. And for the things that I've said also, I can guarantee that most of you have already experienced that. And there's a lot of light bulb moments that are coming on to you as well. So, the universe is there to always provide. You just need to ask, and you need to have that awareness to also receive the information.
That's so true. Yes.
That's the biggest thing. A lot of us know, we don't know. Yeah. You have to receive it. That's huge.
Thank you. Thank you, Shannan. And my last question to you is if you can share with the audience how they can reach out to you and get to know about your book, about your podcast, about your courses. Where can they go? Please, Shannan, tell us.
If you go onto my website, shannanmondor.com, all the information is there. My book, my programs, my podcast, my upcoming events, everything is there. But you can also follow me on social media, which is Shannan Mondor on both Instagram and Facebook. Another thing too is you can also go on to my podcast as well too, which is called Fulfillment in Faith, and it's on all of the platforms, and you can listen in as well too. But even if you want to be a guest on my podcast, you're more than welcome to go onto my website, and you can book on my Calendly as well too for a pre-podcast interview. If you've got a story to share that you want to let everybody hear about, and that that can possibly help somebody as well. And one thing I want to invite people to, because I do also have a very safe space, that there's a lot of people that are ready to share their story, but they don't know where to begin.
That's true.
So they've come on my podcast and they've shared their story for the very, very first time. So absolutely, I would love to have you on there. You can book a pre-podcast interview as well too, but just go onto my website. Yeah, shannanmondor.com. And there's 2 A's in Shannan, no O's. And then my last name is all O's. So 2 A's, 2 O's, Shannan Mondor. Yeah.
Thank you, Shannan. And your links will appear below for your podcast and your Instagram, and people will be able to connect with you. And it will appear on your bio on the podcast and YouTube channel. So everybody can reach out. So feel free to reach out to Shannan if you feel that this story has inspired you, and you can always reach out to Shannan. She's here for you and to help you on your journey. So Shannan, it's been a great pleasure to have you today. I would like to say a big thank you, and I wish you a lot of success with your traveling, with your speaking engagement, and I really look forward to meeting you in person very soon. So thank you, Shannan, and big thank you to the audience for watching, sharing, and subscribing, and we'll be with you with another guest very soon. Take care, everybody, and thank you again, Shannan. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.